Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on just DCTV as a whole across a couple of different platforms, most likely in regards to this discussion. But of course, we are seeing the end, literally, not just, oh, things are crumbling, but we are seeing the end of the CW universe. It is going to be coming to an end in under a year from now. Like, it should be done by this time next year. I would assume so, unless there's more delays. And that's because it was announced that Superman and Lois would be ending after its fourth season. Now, I think that would have been my return video addressing that and talking about that, so we won't spend too much time on that stuff because I probably already talked about it in another video. But with that, the end of Superman and Lois will be it. There won't be any more DC stuff on the CW. Of course, Gotham Knights was cancelled, so that won't be lingering around. So unless there's like replays of old shows, which I don't think they would do, I think that's probably not going to happen. I don't think they do that like after the case. Like, it's usually in that season, if like episode 15's airing in 2 weeks, they might replay a couple of episodes from earlier in the season just to fill in some gaps. So I think that will be it. I'd assume so, and I don't think they've ever replayed Smallville stuff after that ended and everything like that. So yeah, it seems like that will be it. But that's not too much of a surprise. I think most of us knew that was going to be the case. Maybe Superman and Lois could have got a fifth season, but that would have been very strange if that was the case. So yeah, it's ending. And that brings up like an interesting question, is like, how does it all end on the CW? Why did it all end? We know that. And obviously in regards to how it ends, we know it's with Superman and Lois, but the specifics of that, like, are we going to have any surprises that happen throughout this final season of Superman and Lois, or specifically right at the end of the finale as like a goodbye to the show of Superman and Lois, but also a goodbye to if you include Smallville, like, and then there's also like those Birds of Prey on the WB network, which became the CW. It's 20 plus years. It's insane when you think about how long it's been on there, and that it's coming to an end with Superman. It also started with Superman with Smallville, which it's sort of fitting. This 20 plus year run starts and ends with Superman, and a lot of people think that they might do something special. I don't think that's going to be the case, mainly just because of what the CW has become in regards to who's running it and everything like that. They're trying to make money. I think their finance thing came out and they've lost a lot of money over the past, I don't know if it was 6 months or something like that, but they've lost a decent amount of money. So I would be very surprised if that happened, if they were trying to put something overly special together. So I wouldn't be counting on it at the very least. So in regards to how it all comes to an end with DC on the CW, I think it's just going to end in a very fine way. Not anything overly mind-blowing, at least I don't think so, in regards to familiar faces popping up. I think it's just going to end just like that. And we'll be like, okay, that was a fine last season of Superman and Lois to wrap up the show, and then we'll move on. There won't be any more CW, there won't be any more DC on the CW. And to be honest, you have to let me know if I'm wrong in this. I don't think many people after Superman and Lois ends will probably, and some of those other shows that are still lingering around, like those 2 All-American shows and stuff like that, I don't think many will be revisiting the CW. It's just a change network, and it's just it's a shell of what it former was. It's not even going to be the shell. The shell's going to be crumbled in like a year from now. So it's going to be completely different. And I think that base that was there over the past, I guess, 20 years, if you want to include the WB, not going to be there anymore. So it's pretty crazy that it's how quickly it changed, if you want to put it. But of course, with the CW stuff in regards to DC stuff ending, what's next for DCTV? DCTV, in my opinion, has held up the DC live action brand for about a decade, just over a decade, because you had like the Dark Knight trilogy end in 2012, I think. Yeah, 2012, I think that last movie came out. And then Arrow premiered at the end of 2012. So it's pretty much since Arrow premiered, it's been what's kept live action DC stuff afloat, because the DCU just was very inconsistent, and I don't think it was just able to build a fan base, while the Arrowverse, regardless of whether you watched all the shows or not, or just maybe 2 or 3 of them, it had that fan base, and I don't think you could really debate that. I think you'd just be wrong if that was the case. Like, more people probably look at Stephen Amell and Green Arrow and Grant Gustin as Flash and Melissa Benoist as Supergirl, and they're more recognizable as the characters than, I'd say, 95% of the characters in the movie side of things since the Arrowverse started and what was happening in the DCEU, might I say. So yeah, it's a big thing. So we're stepping into that next era of DC TV, but it's all going to be on HBO Max, because as we know, with James Gunn and Peter Safran coming in as the co-leads or co-heads, that's probably the best way to put it, co-heads of DC Studios, we know it's all going to be under this one umbrella. And there's already been some of the HBO Max shows that are going to be within the DCU that have already been revealed, and they're going to start happening soon. Of course, we already had one, which was Peacemaker season 1, but that's set within the former universe, so I don't know how they're going to tinker with that. But that's that's going to be, I guess, the first show that gets a second season within this DCU. I just think we're going to be waiting a couple of years for that second season. So I guess we've had a taste of what's next for DCTV because of Peacemaker season 1, and if it's anywhere around that level of what Peacemaker was, which is a pretty good show, then I guess we're in good hands. But once again, that's a wait and see. Like, the two projects that I'm most looking forward to when it comes to the next thing of DCTV, and it's stuff I'll probably talk about a decent amount on the channel, is like, when we get anything about it. There's been some things, but nothing's been confirmed, so I don't really want to touch upon it. Otherwise, you're just talking shit, let's be completely honest. So I'd rather wait till there's some sort of foundation to have discussions about these shows. But the two that I'm looking most forward to are Lanterns, which is obviously the Green Lantern show with Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. And it seems like that could be something that we get some developments over the next handful of months, if not hopefully by the end of the year. Because I think this is one of the first shows they want to get going, because I think it's meant to be very important to what James Gunn is doing in regards to his story over the movies and things like that. And then of course I'm looking forward to the Booster Gold show, just because I think they can have a lot of fun with this show. It could be like very much on the good side of Legends, like the fun side of Legends, as well as maybe even some like Flash-esque, like overly superhero-y stuff as well. So Booster Gold is something I'm very much looking forward to as well, especially if they cast the right actor to play Booster Gold. So fingers crossed they get that right. Now, the one thing I am concerned about, I don't know if I've talked about it too much, to be completely honest, in regards to going to this next era of DC TV, but I am concerned about the handling of it in regards to whether these actually feel like TV shows and they're not just going to be extended movies. Now, of course, that's a bit of shade towards what Disney Plus has done with its shows. That doesn't mean you can't enjoy them. Like, I enjoyed Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I think that's the correct name of the show. But that is just an extended movie. That doesn't really feel ridiculously like a TV show. It just feels like an extended movie to set up the new Captain America in Sam Wilson. But then there's something like Loki, which feels like a TV show, and WandaVision, which feels like a TV show. But then there's like Moon Knight as well, which is another example, which just feels like an extended movie. So that's my concern going into this new era, is that the shows actually have to stand on their own as their own individual stories and TV shows, but then also just play into that larger universe. Like, the only thing that gets me concerned is James Gunn, when he was talking about Lanterns, said that like there's an important thing in this show that sets up or is a big player in like the wider story that he's telling in his, I guess, first chapter of his DC universe. And I'm like, okay, so if people don't watch Lanterns, are they not going to know what the hell's going on in this movie? If that's the case, that can be concerning, because then once again, it's the whole, are we doing homework? Do we have to do our homework by watching this show so we can understand this movie? So hopefully that's handled well. I think James Gunn will handle it well. I have my faith in him that he'll do it well. But he's only done Peacemaker, which was very disconnected, and all the other stuff he's done previously with comic book stuff has been on its own. Like Guardians is in its own little world. The Suicide Squad, might I say, was once again very disconnected. It was connected, but nothing overly referenced and stuff like that. So it's a wait and see. I'm going to give James Gunn quite a big benefit of the doubt because I trust him, but it's one of my concerns because I don't necessarily like a ridiculously connected movie and TV thing. I prefer if they're separate, just because you can get different interpretations. I mean, there's a lot of space to do stuff in the movies. You don't have to do an entire TV universe as well, but I want to be proven wrong with that. Just because Disney hasn't done it that well with Marvel. They've done it okay, but nothing like, home run. So I want to see what James Gunn can do with it. Hopefully he does it better. And once again, as I said, I have my faith in him, but there's just still that line concern because I just don't think it can be done overly well, at least consistently, but I want to be proven wrong. But in regards to like the legacy of the CW DC universe, that including Smallville, as I said, it's a massive one. It's 20 plus years. That's crazy to think. Like, you think of some of these, long-lived TV shows that go for like 9 or 10 seasons, and like I guess Flash and Arrow and Smallville and stuff fall into that area. But if you include it as it's all like this one multiverse thing, like 20 plus years, that's crazy. That's crazy. And it's something that, will still be looked upon, look back on. Like, people will still discover the shows. Like, people are still discovering Smallville to this day and watching Smallville now for the first time. I came across a thread of like a Superman fan can't remember, I'd shout it out if I remembered it, but it was like a Superman fan on Twitter with like quite a decent amount of followers, and they'd never watched Smallville, and they did like a live thread watch thing, update thing on Twitter or whatever it was, of them watching Smallville for the first time. I was like, hey, you're a Superman fan and not watched Smallville in this day and age. You know, you just, at least if you're like above 15 years old or something, you think you would have watched it and given it the time, but they hadn't. This was the first time, so people still discover these shows. I know that people, you know, people still discover, like, even if it's like Arrow or Flash or whatever, just because of streaming. It's just going to pop up and be like, oh, I'll watch that. Why not give that a go? Or they've heard of it and they have the time. So people still discover them. So it'll be very interesting to see what this next era in DCTV is. I'm looking forward to it and seeing the different interpretations of the same characters that we might have seen in the Arrowverse or Smallville, whatever, if they don't appear in the movies, and maybe they start in the TV side of things. But it's going to have higher budget. We know that. Like, I'm excited to see what they can do with Lanterns with a bigger budget, if David Zaslav allows them to have a decent enough budget. But I'm looking forward to it. You know, like, I'll always be a defender of the Arrowverse, and I always felt it tried to be as comic booky as possible, and I feel like it achieved that most times, and it didn't. So obviously James Gunn, I think, is going to go for like a bit of an amalgamation between feeling comic booky, but also trying to make it like a bit maybe more serious, if you want to put it. But once again, that's a wait and see. But yeah, I'm sure there'll be like some more potential things that pop up over the next like whatever amount of months until the end of Superman and Lois. You know, there'll probably be some inklings to go, oh, this person's going to show up more. Melissa Benoist is going to appear as Kara Danvers in Superman and Lois's final season or in the finale. There's probably going to be some like things like that. I don't know if that, as I said, I don't think any of that's going to happen outside of maybe someone doing something on the cheap as like a favor. I'm going to remember, like, Greg Berlanti still did Superman and Lois, you know, he's still friends with everyone. So they might do a favor, but I just don't think it's going to happen. I've seen some stuff on like Twitter since I've been back, and, you know, theories like, oh, is this person showing up? We'll have to wait, and so we might discuss it more in depth in regards to possibilities and how they would do it and stuff in another video. But yeah, I think Superman and Lois is just going to end. I guess DC as a whole is just going to end in a very calm note and a very somber, not a somber note, I guess it's a bit sad, but like a calm note and just an easy note, just see out the show. There won't be anything overly theatrical, but I might be proven wrong with that. I hope I am, but wait and see. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like and it shows support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions on all this stuff. Are you sad to see the CW DC universe end? Do you think it was just time? Because, I mean, we had all these shows and stuff, and they just couldn't really hang on to anything to sort of like keep it going. And are you looking forward to what James Gunn has planned on the TV side of his new DC universe? What show are you looking forward to the most? Do you have any concerns like I potentially do as well? Let me know in the comment section down below. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. And yeah, I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.